Hey, how's it going, guys? Domino Paris 21 here, and back again to bring you guys another episode of Meta Talk. So, of course, this will be the first episode of Meta Talk for set 14, and seeing that Zenith here was actually the first deck profile that I made post BT14, I thought to go ahead and kick things off with him. So, of course, as a special guest, I got another fellow Liberator Gold Paladin player with me, Mr. Vivo, Andrew.
Hello.
He was actually the one who presented the Chaos Breaker Dragon deck on my channel and the first version of Liberators post set 10. So we both have been doing some playtesting around with Zenith. Definitely we find that Zenith is a great improvement to Liberators, and just a lot of things to love about it from us. So Mr. Vo, pretty much now that you experience, the first gen Liberators post set 10, what difference did you feel with the deck now that they got Zenith, a brand new boss, presented for Liberators?
It's so much better, in my opinion, at the moment, because with the Gancelot Alfred combo set post set 10 is it's pressuring enough to make big numbers, and Alfred already makes big numbers, but that's all they do. They make big numbers. With the additional attack for Zenith and the Brunos and the Gerains. I play Gerains in my build. It's just so pressuring that I make even more numbers, and more attacks too, and so it just forces my opponents to guard even more.
Just spreads out that power, distributes it a little bit across the board, and nice way just to help force out your opponent's hand, especially with that multiple attack.
Attacks, yeah.
Yeah. So of course, for our analysis of Gancelot Zenith, as always, we're going to be giving our ratings based on the 3 categories for competitive decks. Pressure, how well does it pressure your opponent? Advantage, how well does it build advantage for itself? And consistency, which I think is the most important thing. So we're going to give our own little personal analysis each and give it a rank out of 5. So let's actually start with the first category. Alright, so the first category we're going to be talking about is pressure. How well does this deck pressure your opponent? So as Andrew just mentioned earlier in the intro of the video, Gancelot Zenith, with the extra attack that it initiates and potentially hitting some bigger numbers, it's another way to help force out more cards from your opponent's hand. It's just something that your opponent has to think in the back of his mind, especially when using Zenith. The fact is that he initiates that fourth attack. So overall, the key cards you essentially use in Zenith that can exert extra pressure to your opponent. Of course, you have your Liberator Escrod. Obviously, yeah, it's a free +1 on hit when it hits your opponent's Vanguard. So ideally, it's just another way just to kind of force out extra guards from your opponent that they normally wouldn't guard. So it's just another pressure card, and most important with Zenith, especially with the field setup that you're going for, when you have, let's say, a Bruno, and I should put a Bruno here. Usually having a field with like Brunos and Gordios, which I know some people play or not play, it's just another way just to help fix your columns to hit for higher tier numbers. So not only that are you initiating an extra attack with Zenith, potentially top decking a unit to maybe hit for 15, 19, or even 21 at times if you're lucky enough. It's just another way, like I said, to force out more cards from your opponent's hand. So that's kind of the essential setup that you're looking at with Zenith.
So pretty much how I play my build is with Gerains, even though Domino Paris here doesn't play it. I think it's just pressuring enough. If it was like this.
It pretty much gives you access to another 12k attacker, more chances to create that 22k plus column, just force out extra cards from your opponent's hand. Now in terms of pressure, now this setup that we're showing you now, it's really going to apply that kind of pressure to your opponent later in the game, usually when that 4 or 5 damage mark, because now they have more numbers to play around. But around the early game, outside of Escrod, the deck doesn't really have much going for it in the early game. It becomes a lot more aggressive later. So overall, when it comes to pressure, it doesn't really have much going for it early, but once it hits to the later stage of the game, that's really where Zenith shines, quite literally sometimes.
Yes.
So I think really with the right setup that you're looking at here, And Zenith itself, just for how amazing card he is, like I said, just a nice way just to essentially distribute a nice amount of power across your board. I'd say for pressure, I'm going to give this deck a 4 out of 5.
Yes, 4 out of 5, most likely because it's mostly the setup formation of how you build the deck, and like almost any other decks, it's just formation and how you play the deck, and so 4 out of 5 is definitely the pressure.
Yeah, because like I said, while it doesn't create any type of pressure outside of Escrod in the early game, it really makes up for it in the late stage of the game with Zenith itself. Just a really amazing card overall. I really like this card a lot. So, moving on to the next category, we're going to talk about advantage. Now, talking about advantage for the deck, how well does this deck produce advantage for itself? Just like I mentioned just previously when talking about pressure, Liberators, they still have access to a few cards that can help build them advantage. But one big difference with a Zenith focused deck compared to previous Liberator builds is that Zenith is focused on to be a little bit more aggressive. As opposed to, let's say, Liberator Alfred or Garmor, where they kind of focus on building advantage by just having free pluses to their field. So with that, usually when you increase the offensive potency of your deck, it does convert to a little bit less ways to create pluses for yourself or advantage, like I said, for the deck. But a few key cards that they do still have. Of course, you do have the Escrod, ideally the ideal card to open turn 2, just try and get that free plus for yourself. And now, I personally don't play it, but this is a very popular, these are very popular cards that are run in Zenith decks that Andrew actually plays.
So pretty much, unlike Domino Paris' build, he plays Little Fighter Kron. I play Spring Breeze Messenger. I still like the Spring Breeze Messenger. It's a Cannon Blast 1, and you put it to soul. After that, you can Superior Call the top 3. If I Superior Call Josephus, pretty much I don't lose anything, even I do call out a trigger, because I can always put it back on the bottom with the Gancelot Zenith. But initiating with the Spring Breeze Messenger Josephus combo, I just +1 instantly.
Yeah, and you even have a chance of top decking a Joseph with Zenith, which gives you even an added bonus. But like I said, the deck has changed a little bit because it's not really focused on building advantage, but just being a lot more aggressive to your opponent.
Yes.
So it still does have a few access to key cards that that can help fulfill that for you. But the deck is a lot more offensively focused. So when it comes to building advantage, I personally say I give this deck a 3 out of 5.
I say 4 out of 5 just because of how my build is, because it's just somewhat a bit different from Domino's, because I play the tech Garmor because I don't have the 4th Gancelot Zenith. So pretty much instead of playing 4 Escrods, I play Garmor to build out my field, and after that, because my deck is very heavy Cannon Blast, I tend to Soul Blast 2 and then
Limiting Clone.
Yeah, and unflip 2, so this way I can consistently build more field again with Garmor and still make pressuring numbers still 20 with 22 if a 6K or more.
Yeah, so I mean, Andrew personally plays the Garmor just to help just to help build up his field. I know some people like to do it, but in a more Zenith-focused space. In fact, I don't even play Josephus or Spring Breeze in my deck personally. Hey, that's my main reason for giving a 3 out of 5. So yep. Now moving on to the last but not least category, consistency. Now talking about the consistency of Gancelot Zenith, one main thing I really like about Zenith is that it doesn't necessarily rely on any key combo pieces or any certain units to make him work. Zenith can work with any Gold Paladin grade 2 or lower. Not even he's not even restricted to Liberators on your field. It's only just on the special counterblast. So it provides a lot more flexibility with your plays and how you go about. But what's nice is with Zenith too is, although his Crossfight counterpart is Gancelot, and Gancelot's okay, a fairly solid break ride at times. You don't have to rely on your break ride. That's a big thing. If you open with Gancelot, then you're just setting up just to cross break ride later. Or even if you open with the Zenith, like Zenith can hold its own, and he's obviously your win condition in the deck anyway. So it's simple as that. So you're not break ride relying, and Zenith is it's very easy and very simple to execute. And although the units you top deck to give +10 for his skill can potentially be maybe a trigger and such, I mean that trigger will still be a 15k attacker, so you're not necessarily relying on just trying to get a good top deck. Just about any top deck is good, as long as you have the right field. But Andrew, what are some additional thoughts in terms of consistency for Zenith?
To keep my consistency going, I play this Liberator Grade 3 searcher because I just don't like how when Garmor and Gancelot Zenith just stacks the cards on the bottom. I just like to somehow reshuffle, and sometimes I do get grave stuck at times, so I play this one instead of the starter because the starter is only a one-time use. When this one can attack and generate just a nice +1 just to get the grade 3 if possible, and that's just a nice shuffle.
Yeah, and just not get Grey Lock at the same time. So definitely really nice. I mean, the simplicity of Zenith is really good. Like I said, I'm always a big fan of very powerful cards that are very simple to enable. You know, you're not as reliant on anything. I mean, you just need to get a grade 2 or less in hand, which is not too hard at all. Another thing that's nice with Zenith is that there's really no such thing as having a dead card on your field, because I know sometimes, like me personally, I play Little Fighter Kron, which is just your starter for Grade 3 Searcher, but if I don't need him, I can easily just have a way to get him off my field and replace him with the unit from the top deck to get some power. And same thing, you know, there's times where maybe you're forced to call triggers or anything like that on your field, but you have a way to put them away and make use out of them with Zenith. Even if Zenith top decks a trigger, following turn you can just attack, boost it with the trigger, and then top deck afterwards to replace it. So it's a nice way just to help make the most out of your field. And like I said, with Zenith, there's really no such thing as dead cards on your field. So that's really one thing that I like that's amazing with Zenith. So it's a lot more flexible with your plays. So overall, when it comes to consistency, for me personally, I'm actually going to give this deck a 5 out of 5.
For me, it's 4 out of 5 considering I'm playing a Gone style.
Yeah, just based on the build. But I'd say if you had like...
Yes, if it's more Zenith based, I would say 5 out of 5.
Yeah, 5 out of 5. Like pretty much to summarize, it's not break ride reliant necessarily. It's a nice way to help fix awkward fields, and you're not as, like I said, you're not as reliant on any key cards in the deck. Just get Zenith. Simple as that. So there you have it, guys. That is our meta talk for Gancelot Zenith. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below and let us know what you guys think for any fellow Liberator players. And Mr. Vo, any final thoughts before we head out?
Nope, that's pretty much about it.
Oh, you're boring. I'm kidding. We love you. Yeah, alright guys.
Imagine the victory, I am Vanguard.
Yeah, sure. Shout outs to him. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching. Give it a thumbs up. Later.